Okay, everyone. Looks like we can get underway. Okay, thank you for logging in. And we'll get started here with our webinar for the day, sponsored by Trade Group, Actuate, and mLogica. Welcome to Interactive Analytics. Can an application do more with less with advanced analytics and business intelligence? I'm your moderator today, Mark Gamble, and I will be helping guide us through three presentations. First and foremost, we are joined today by Shaku Atre, world-renowned expert on business intelligence and database technology. Shaku is the founder and president of Atre Group, one of today's sponsors, and has written 6 very successful books on database-related topics, which are translated into many languages. She worked for IBM Germany, IBM World Trade Group in various capacities, and she's an IT partner at PricewaterhouseCoopers. Also joining us today, Basil Kendiar, Vice President of Technology at mLogica Incorporated. She has over 20 years experience in consulting and providing training in IT, project management, application architecture, design, and web-based application development. She's worked for Toyota, GM, EDS, and Computer Science Corporation. And last but not least, I will also play the role of presenter today. My name is Mark Gamble again. I head up the Actuate Marketing Applications team, Actuate being, of course, the people behind BIRT, and we'll be going into BIRT today. I work with a group that builds and maintains reference Actuate applications, and it will be my great pleasure to show you a live demo of the product. So with that, I would like to kick things off with our very first speaker. Please welcome Shaku Atre. Shaku, see your slides, and the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Mark. It's wonderful to have you as our audience. We have attendees from Canada, Chile, Asia, Denmark, Honduras, India, Kenya, Mexico, Holland, Saudi Arabia, Spain, Ukraine, and of course, US. I have forgotten some, so forgive me for that. This is almost representing the UN. Welcome all of you, and good morning or good afternoon or good evening, wherever you are in the part of the world. I have a question before I start. As we said, we have people from so many corners of the world, and I tried to send them invitation last night, and the local time, what the time would be for that city country. The only country which has half-hour difference is India, and that has been bothering me. Where does this half-hour come from? All other countries, all the other places are either full hours ahead or behind from wherever you are. I have been looking for an answer for a long, long time. If anybody knows a satisfactory, logical answer, please send me that answer to shaku@atre.com, shaku@atre.com. I will mail a copy of my BI book for a satisfactory, logical answer. Because India now, today, I'm in New York City, and India today is 10.5 hours ahead of me. I'm wondering about this half hour. Every other place, it's either 6 hours, 7 hours, 8 hours, 13 hours ahead, or 3 hours behind, and so on. So please let me know the answer. Thank you. So let's see now. We're looking at interactive analytics. Can an application do more with less? That means with less money. Advanced analytics in business intelligence. Now, when we look at the business intelligence here, that we have something where we say that we are looking at different things here, and we take a look at open source, where it says, can IT do more with less by using open source AI? Open source software, OSS, is really has many different components, and it's software for which the source code and certain other rights normally reserved for copyright holders and provided under software license are in the public domain. Examples are Linux, which is operating system, Apache, which is the web server. MySQL is the database management system. Perl is the language. And sometimes people include also Python or PHP, which is the LAMP platform. Linux, Apache, MySQL, and Perl. So if you are very beginner for OSS, I think you should stick with something which is used quite frequently, which is the LAMP platform. And then you can get into ventures into some other territories. But you should not try to do too many adventures at the same time. So this OS permits users to use, change, and improve the software and redistribute it in modified or unmodified forms and even make money. If you take a look at Action's report, yearly report, they have made some decent amount of money on open source. So it's very often developed in a public collaborative way. So OSS really is democratization of software access and development. Now, again, if we take a look at open source, it almost, when you hear the words like collaboration, sharing, community building, letter protection in an organization, and change of culture, and so on. So people start to think, does this smell like communism? It's not. It's kind of a very gentle socialism, if you want to take a look at it. And of course, if you take a look at the Western European countries, where I spent many years of my life for IBM and for some other countries as companies, as well as for my studies. So it is something which is more of a collaboration, more of a sharing, instead of having somebody having a monopoly. So that's really the major difference. Like, I get very upset, like when somebody, like some company like Microsoft has sold to some monopoly on our desktop, and that's not good. We have to have competition. I mean, I get so upset. Microsoft just comes in night in my laptop, if I keep it on, and install some security patch, which is apparently very important, turn and then restart the computer. I spent this morning over an hour indexing my email with something which is also from Microsoft, but because they, so to say, without closing it gently, they killed the application, and that's not good. Okay, so nobody should have this monopoly in this world. So I think open source software is a breath of fresh air, and I think you should really look at some of the products which are out there, including actuates. Now, also one of the main things, of course, people are looking at is that they want to save money. Return on investment is one of the main things which you hear ROI all the time. Let's keep aside ROI. What's software and what is bad software? So good software has features you need. It's stable. It's easy to use, has less bugs. It provides adequate performance for your needs consistently, and has reasonable availability of technical support when problems arise. It provides upgrades with less efforts, and it's adequately secured. So this is something which you want to have in your software. Now, I do travel around the world, and one of the questions which always comes up is, what's different about BI today? And I would like to, before I go into that, let's take a look. What's BI? When we look at BI, major difference is operational. It has become operational and interactive. That means it's not only online transaction processing where people were going to get only paper reports, but the people in the trenches can use the information to make decisions on the spot. So operational BI applications are used to try out multiple possibilities of decisions. So, and that is done in some of the applications for some of the data real time. Not everything has to be real time, but some of them has to be real time. One of the CEO J.P. Morgan, he made the comment that he and his team speak every day, 7 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock at noon, and 4:30 p.m. in the afternoon. They are based in New York City. So they have to speak. There's only close-knit management team. They have to look at the data and make decisions on the spot, and it requires a lot of discipline. This is what BI is about. Interactive analytics, operational and interactive. In the past, people were doing, for users, were doing the BI, like the people who like to speak about J++, like for users. One of the days I asked one of those users, I said, oh, you use J++? I mean, he was boasting about it. I said, have you heard about J++? So he was puzzled. I didn't know that there was such a thing as J++. Of course, there is no J++. This was like a tongue-in-cheek comment from me. But he didn't lose his composure and said, oh, I have to look into it. So we're talking about not only the power users using BI, but also the people in the trenches who make the decisions, our drivers of the trucks, the people who are delivering the cans in the stores. Those are the people who need to make decisions on the spot. So now, when we take a look at it, we have to see whether BI and whether there is introverted, whether it is extroverted, whether it has to be both. I mean, rich information application is something which Mark will be speaking about. So BI and RIA fusion here. So we are looking at hardware. There is also BI proprietary hardware. Then the next component is operating system. The third one is database management system. The fourth one is sources of data and providing data visualization. And then we are talking about BI delivery model. And of course, we have to come up with the solutions. So we are looking at BI, so to say, as a utility. So what we really would like to have is look at hardware. Who is left? IBM, HP, Dell, Sun, big question mark. It's a type of data warehouse appliance are there. Who is left in operating system? Linux, Windows, AIX, Solaris, question mark again. What's Oracle, D2, SQL Server, anyone else? Who's in the sources of data? You have corporate data, publicly available fee-based data, publicly available free data. And we have to provide data visualization. Instead of telling the zip code of 10014, if it shows near the Hudson River, the place where it is 10014, people much better idea. We have to use the power of our eye. Our eyes are extremely powerful, and that is what the data visualization supports. Now with the BI delivery model, we are looking at visualization, commoditization. That means there are many choices, and that's what I was talking about before, that there should not be monopoly. We need to have many choices to select from, and that's the best part of this industry, that there is always going to be multiple choices. And consumerization, people have their own ways of looking at what they would like to look at. And the solutions will be rich internet applications or rich information applications, pre-built APIs, pre-built reports, business to computer, business to business, business to employee applications. And of course, Mark will be speaking more about it, where the scalability becomes one of the main issues when you have so many people using it. So we would like really to have BI as a utility, as an on-off switch. Now, what are the different components of the BI application? We are looking at database management system, tools, and so on. Of course, we all know there are so many layers. So I have one theory. Try to minimize the layers that you can, because I have a theory which I call an onion theory. More layers an onion has, more you are going to cry. So try to keep the layers to a minimum level as much as you can. I have written about this, so if you would like to have a copy of the article, please go to our website www.atre.com, go into resources, and then you'll be able to look at that. So what I'm talking about, because one of the things I always do is that when I get frustrated in this industry, I sit down and write an article or write a book. I have written at least 500, if not more, articles. One of the things which I said now, if you take a look at components of a web-based BI application, there is something new. It's SOS, Service-Oriented Architecture, SaaS, which is Software as a Service, OLAP, Online Analytical Processing, and of course with it comes scorecards and dashboards. One of the things I always say is that in this industry, one of the things we have done is that put together 2, 3, 4 letters, there is some acronym out there. So now you are going to learn some more acronyms. There is something which I came across the other day which was really funny. ASPCU. What is that? It says American Society of Prevention of Cruelty Towards Users, ASPCU. Then there was another one which I came across, which is NBI, nothing but initials. So we really have to understand what stands behind those acronyms, not just keep on throwing the acronyms around. So this is our BI infrastructure and BI application architecture. When you look at the different data sources, we have dispersed data. It will be collected with something called ETL, extract, transform, load, integrated data, information, and hopefully we have a BI portal. We'll have our dashboards which will help in the strategy and implementation. So some more acronyms if you didn't have them enough already. So KPI, key performance indicators, and they are always interrelated. It's like when you take a look at KPI, it's something which I always like to relate to it like our health. Our health is that when you look at KPI, debt to equity ratio, asset turnover, profit margin, they're all interrelated. Just like our health is that our blood pressure, pulse rate, sugar level in blood, cholesterol level, they're all interrelated. Okay, so you cannot have just one the best and the other one the worst. They are somehow stick together, and the same thing happens with the KPIs. And using the KPIs, you develop a scorecard so that you can see you set together the objectives, you set together the targets, you set together the initiatives, and then you compare with the measures. Like you have objectives set that our business should increase the profit by 5% in next year. Then what are our measures? How do we measure our profit? So we have to set that together. Then target, have we reached the target, or how far are we from the target? And in order to reach the target, what are we going to do? Those are the initiatives. And in this case, if in case you get the clockwise customer to achieve our vision, how should we appear to our customer? Financial, to succeed financially, how should we appear to our shareholders? Now, in order to do that, we have business processes. To satisfy our shareholders and customers, what business processes must we excel at? Can you read like 90 degrees, turn your head, objectives, measures, targets, initiatives? So that's what we are talking about, which is the balanced scorecard. Return on investment, which is you have to achieve at least one of these, which revenue increase, profit increase, savings, or gain in market share, which are the ROI, where you can give the numbers. The numbers don't lie. And if you cannot measure something, how are you going to improve it? So, but customer satisfaction is the soft ROI. Now, isn't this beautiful? This is something which is a dashboard evaluating customer loan fulfillment processes in real time. And one thing I'll tell you, if your users tell you, well, I need only this chart or this screen, do not believe it. Okay? Because once they see this, they want to go lower level. Design at least for the 3 more layers down from what you see, so that you can drill down. Don't have to implement it right away, but in design you should have that. This is with the loans. It depends on the people who are looking at it, which production center it is, which production manager it is, and so on. So different people have access to the different data. Now this is something which Mark will be going more into, which is like from open source software, where you can have the dashboard, dynamic dashboard application, which you can download from BIRT Exchange Marketplace, and this is the URL. So Mark will be going over it, as well as we will be speaking more about that too. Now, this is our banking profit dashboard, and I want to develop that with you. So if you look at this here, we have something where we go into the this one here, which is this one here. Let me get that. So where we go in there, which here. So here we can see highlights, deposits, deposit mix, growth in deposits, and so on, which is the banking profit dashboard. Now here, if you go further, assets, which are liabilities, with plus bank capital, interest rate spread. I mean, this is all jargon as far as banking is concerned. But I want to look at the last column, which is the leverage. Leverage is bank's debt. Like example is bank assets. Let's assume it's $100. But means bank capital is only $5. Leverage ratio for this bank is 100 divided by 5 with 20 to 1. If the value of its assets just drops by 5%, the bank's capital is wiped out. That sound familiar? Years 2007 and 2008 scenario. Lehman Brothers leverage ratio was over 30 to 1. So it's no wonder they were up. But why didn't some people look at this leverage ratio? And this is what it is, that the power of I, that dashboard could be very, very helpful for people to look at. And I have covered a large number of these things, which I've been speaking about in one of my books, as Mark mentioned, on Business Intelligence Roadmap, which is available by Amazon. It's selling like hotcakes. So you take a look at, I think one of the main things here is that there is a project management chart, there is do's and don'ts, and in the beginning of each chapter, I've written there what you should be prepared with, and at the end, what should be the deliverables of each phase. And some of the things which we have put in the BIRT Navigator, we must have sent close to 10,000 of these throughout the world. About 150 countries we have sent their processes. There are different steps to follow. Then what are the deliverables, and also how to go about implementing all of this. So go to our website and you can take a look at it, and we will, if you send us the email that you would like to have this, then we will send you the BIRT Navigator complimentary. Now, how to make it happen with your customer base? It's 2010, and do you know where your customer base is? Make 5 classes of customers. How do you measure profit per customer? How do you measure loss per customer? And profit from getting rid of loss leaders. So here is something, what are your priorities in running your business? Delivering products, services effectively, introducing new products, developing new markets. And if you would like to have my slides, please send an email to shaku@atre.com, shaku@atre.com. And in order to learn more about this, we would love to have you at our class, where we are going to have a 3-day class, February 23 to 25 in Orange, not too far from Hollywood. So if you haven't been that part of the world, this would be the best opportunity to do that. And we will have 3 days. We will go into much more details about all of this. And if you would like to contact the speakers, here are our contact numbers, email addresses, and I will bring that up again towards the end. So with that, I would like to pass on the baton to Mark, and thank you so much for being here. I hope you're enjoying the webinar. Mark, take it from here.
Thank you so much, Shaku. As usual, very excellent presentation. I especially appreciate your insight and your humor. J is truly brilliant. Someone will be inspired to actually create it based on this call. But also excellent insight into especially open source. So I'll be sharing my screen, and we'll go to a presentation. So today I'm going to be covering how Actuate BIRT can facilitate delivering dynamic, rich information applications. And my role again is as Director of Technical Marketing at Actuate Corporation. Actuate is the creator. So it would be good to at first give a little bit of background on BIRT, an acronym, one that actually means something. That stands for Business Intelligence and Reporting Tools. BIRT BIRT was proposed and developed by the Actuate Corporation in August of 2004 for the Eclipse Foundation. And Eclipse is an open source organization and IDE for developing and using open source BIRT tools. This was essentially conceived of and produced to fill a void in the Eclipse offering at the time. They lacked a robust BI content development tool, and so we were inspired to create and provide BIRT. So BIRT, it's important to note, is a professionally managed open source software project which has realized rapid maturity thanks to constant improvements through continued development by Actuate, as well as contributions from various sources such as IBM, systems integrators, and open source community at large. BIRT is a simple but powerful BI content development and generation mechanism. It allows creation and deployment of web-based, data-driven content. The open source version is completely free of cost and provides a simple way for organizations to start producing BI content for their websites and web applications. So Vaisi will be taking us through an open source development environment through the actual BIRT open source development environment later in this presentation. You'll see how straightforward it is to build rich dynamic BIRT content. Actuate uses the open source BIRT product line as a foundation over which it provides commercial value-add options and products that enhance basic BIRT functionality. Provide for BIRT an automated secure deployment server, an out-of-the-box web portal, as well as content interactivity, ad report authoring, its flash visualizations, and dashboard capabilities that also top the open source BIRT code base. And this allows organizations to start small with the zero-cost open source products, but gradually add commercial features as their application needs evolve. BIRT applications that leverage and make use of Actuate commercial features become true rich information applications, or RIAs. So let's delve into that. First, I'd like to cover the term RIA and what it means in the context of BIRT. Classic acronym RIA stands for Rich Internet Application, and there's the website built using the latest Web 2.0 technology. And these are terms you've probably heard: AJAX, Flex, Flash. These things really go far beyond the boundaries of a basic static website that would display only simple pages and links. An RIA-based site leverages Web 2.0 to create a dynamic experience, behaving more like a full-blown application than a web page. This allows users to typically move page elements around, add new elements, tag items of interest, or input information and share it with others. Examples of RIA sites would be Google Finance or iTunes, Netflix, Maps, Flickr, and others. The active and personal experience that users enjoy from these RIAs that they access from home set the expectation that business and BI applications should also behave in this dynamic fashion. But sadly, most business applications are lacking in the richness, personalization, and flexibility that these home sites, if you will, offer. But BIRT brings the benefits of Web 2.0 into the realm of BI, allowing to create highly dynamic RIAs that, and Actuate has actually reworked the term RIA to stand for Rich Information Application. Kind of get into what we mean by that. Be using this graphic, this pentagon graphic, if you will. How does BIRT really fulfill the promise of an RIA? Well, by successfully meeting and achieving or exceeding 5 core principles that assure application success. These principles are listed here in the pentagon graphic, and I'll use it to drive the rest of my presentation today. The important tenet of any successful RIA is that it be highly visual, providing not only pleasing graphics and aesthetic quality, but also in making information easy to understand and disseminate at a glance. It should draw the user in and engage them, as well as inform them, providing really the highest possible value. The next principle we'll cover is interactivity. It applies to empowering the user to personalize and modify the web page for themselves. Any successful RIA must also adhere to the principle of context, provide information to the user that is entirely in context with their role and the task at hand. Next, an RIA must be fully immersive, seamlessly providing all capabilities without forcing a user to go to different sites or web pages to complete a task. And lastly, all of the previously discussed principles of an RIA would be irrelevant without sufficient scale to deliver the capabilities to every user who needs it. Into a couple of slides to this our demo. BIRT meets the visual principle of an RIA through highly engaging flash visualizations. And these visualizations succinctly summarize enterprise or business information in easy-to-understand graphs, charts, maps, and gadgets. Being flash-based, these visualizations also offer animation to increase visibility, engage the user, and really provide deeper understanding of the data. So let's examine what I mean by visual in a brief live demo of a BIRT-based RIA, and then we'll return to our presentation. Let's now access a BIRT-based dashboard complete with the flash visualizations that I mentioned earlier. In fact, I'll maximize my screen here for a little more real estate. As are just a cross-section, a few samples, if you will, of the various types of visualizations you're able to provide summarizing your enterprise data. And they run the gamut from the traditional charts and graphs all the way to non-traditional gadget-based kind of visualizations. We see a Kagi chart here, a cylinder chart, radar chart. Additionally, we also make benefit or use of geospatial representation of enterprise data. We see a map here that conveys the revenue performance across the states of the U.S. So in one of these visualizations, also being flash, has these animations that provide supplemental understanding of the information. As I mouse over for every state, I can see the actual revenue number. Every visualization also serves as a kind of front door to more granular information should the user to pursue it. In this case, and this provides some very good insight into trends and status of the information. In this case, if we can see New York performing above goal, let's say I'd like to see how that actually breaks down at a county-by-county level. So click on that state, the classic drill down, but also leverages that the visual metaphor of geospatial representation. So this allows us to see at a glance that, well, the whole state as a summary might be performing above goal, but in fact fewer than half the counties are actually above goal. But one of them, New York County, where Shaku is so far above goal, it's elevated the entire state to that above goal status. So visual being key in providing that kind of instant understanding and insight to information. How might we employ this for employ some of these clever visualizations in a real-world scenario for a wealth management consumer? Well, we envision that these animated visualizations might provide some forecasting capabilities through their animated capabilities and engaging graphics. So in this case, as a wealth management customer, I can see the status and health of my various investments by account, as well as my progression towards my target. And I can simulate pulling monies out of various accounts and see the impact instantly on the overall allocation and, most importantly, my progression towards my target. So I'm sure you can agree that this visual environment is not only engaging to the eye, but also can provide a high level of value for the customer, and this ultimately leads to the success of your application. And again, it's all based on the open source BIRT Foundation. So let's continue with our presentation. I'll just advance my slide. Actually, it also adds the value of interactivity to BIRT, meeting the second principle of a successful RIA. Being in the BI industry for over 15 years, the actual corporation realized a fundamental flaw in traditional BI reporting. That once you give a report to someone, they become more informed and their questions begin to change. With a static BI application or static report, this typically results in requests for new reports, which in turn creates a burden on IT or developers to deliver new content and largely redundant, perhaps different slices of the exact same information, just grouped differently. Not a very efficient process. Conversely, empowering users to interact with their content makes them more self-sufficient. The Actuate BIRT Interactive Viewer is a malleable environment that allows users to actually change the BIRT content working with directly in the browser. They personalize it, answer questions, and allows them to create entirely new reports based on the original content that were provided. So to see what interactive content means, I'll visit our dynamic environment here, and I'll go back to our dashboard. So the first level of interactivity when it comes to these dashboards is in actually choosing the information that we want to see. So in this particular case, you can see that in the dashboard I have what we call a doc available to me, and it's a palette, if you will, of different types of visualizations that I can simply select, drag, and drop. And here we see a meter chart and then a real-time stock price. So that's one level of personalization. I'm able to mash information up. But let's actually get into the BIRT Interactive Viewer and show personalizing individual bits of content. So here in my dashboard, I also see I have access to the repository. This is the iServer that I talked about earlier, and it's a personal wealth dashboard. So we'll just bring that up, and this is actually what is arguably at this point a static BIRT report. But let's actually interact with it and gain some value. So given this report, I'm formulating some new questions. And in this case, perhaps I'm wondering what are my top 5 investments and how they're actually performing. But static environment, I would have to annually try to figure this out. More costly, even ask for a new content. But actually just provided over the top of a BIRT report interactivity that allows us to actually click on areas of the report and make changes, drag things around, or in this case, I'll reorganize my report into a simple listing. And, once I do this, then I will actually filter my values down my top 5, thus answering my question, inserting this information, comes of questions that a real wealth management client might actually ask and wish to be able to disseminate from the information, and we've done so very quickly. I now understand my top 5 investments in terms of earnings, how they're performing. I can also clearly see that 3 are underperforming. If I didn't have this interactive capability, I'd not have made these, come to these valuable insights, which lead me to make more informed business decisions. Interactivity also allows me to toggle between different visual metaphors for looking at my account information. I can see it in tabular format, but more of a visual character. So I'd like to change these tabular representations into visual or chart representations. So interactivity allowing me to really create my own experience, and this being a key to satisfying the customer. And again, this is all value add capability that's built on top of the BIRT Foundation. A few more slides and we'll turn it over to Vaisi. I wanted to touch a little bit on some areas that we will be showing today for the sake of time. The next principle of a successful RIA is that of context, and actually BIRT content delivered from the BIRT iServer is inherently aware of who the user is, what their role is, and where they are in a work process, and provides them content that is secured just for them and formatted appropriately for the task at hand. So for example, a single BIRT report can be built to serve account statements for all customers. It's similar, that's in fact what we used for the last report that I just showed. But each customer who accesses it only sees their secured data and no one else's. But if the task requires that user input or interaction be useful, content can be delivered in BIRT Interactive Viewer or as Excel spreadsheets. Content that should not be changed can be delivered as secured, non-modifiable PDF documents. And this all happens from the same BIRT-based application. Actually, BIRT applications can be seamlessly embedded in any web application so transparently that users have no idea they're using BIRT content. Then it's simply a part of the website. And additionally, actually offers several integration APIs that make it extremely easy to embed BIRT content. Additionally, we have recently released a viewer for the iPhone, the BIRT Mobile Viewer for iPhone. And this is indicative of the ability to extend the reach of your BIRT-based applications to mobile devices, which is a hot topic today in many enterprises. So we encourage you, iPhone and iPod users, to go to the Apple App Store and search for BIRT. You'll be able to download a sample application that's loaded with BIRT content and see how it actually works and is available for using and adopting for your own reports in your own enterprise. The actually BIRT Server provides a massive scale required to meet the demands of user bases and the millions and millions of users, common to most outside the firewall customer-facing applications. The iServer offers full automation of BIRT content, scan, security, versioning, archiving, all of the usual suspects required for a massive deployment. A cluster architecture that provides load balancing and failover, which means that highly available. So I think I've gone a little over, so I will beg apologies and forgiveness from Busy. I think you'll be pleased with our presentation, so I'm going to turn over controls to Basie Okandiar, who's going to actually show you what the BIRT design environment looks like, and this is on the open source side. Basie, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mark. Presentation. I am going to do is about developing a BIRT report. So first, let's go over some of the terms. Eclipse BIRT. So what is an Eclipse? Eclipse is an open source Java integrated development environment framework, and it supports BIRT. BIRT is basically, it stands for Business Intelligence and Reporting Tool. It's supported by Eclipse, with an open source reporting system for web application, especially the ones that are developed in Java or J2EE. Okay, but can be used, to developing rich report that can list of data, or you can use it to display graphs and charts for the numerical data. You can also have cross tabs with two-dimensional to display two-dimensional data, such as web pages versus number of hits. You can also use that to develop documents. You can have a report with sub-report that consists of logo, contact information, title page, chart, graph, stuff data, and anything that you need in a report. You can even use a corporate color scheme and use CSS to design your report. Report, but look at the BIRT architecture. It can be broken down into two components: Biner, that's based on the Eclipse, and report engine that runs on the app server. It has four parts to it. The data source part that consists of any database. It does support JDBC connection, XML, web services. It can read information from flat file, and Java can call Java objects also. The second part is the data transform services that it provides for grouping, filtering, calculation, and so on. The third part is the business logic layer, where you can convert the data from raw data to a user-friendly data using business logic or programming languages, but does support BIRT's JavaScript that you can use, or you can also call Java code. The fourth layer is the presentation layer that allows you to lay out your report or design the layout for your report, and that the report can consist of image, text, table, charts, graphs, and so on. You have a single data set can be in multiple different ways in a report, and a single report can present data from multiple data sets also. It does support, you can save the information in HTML format, PDF format, Excel, Word presentation, PowerPoint presentation, and you can even print it to send it to the printer. Okay. So now if you're starting, if you want to learn how to use BIRT or develop using BIRT tool, the first step would be download BIRT from website. If you do need this presentation, we can email it to you. Contact Shaku, and Shaku, her email was listed earlier, and we'll also list it at the end, and she will be able to provide you all these links. You can download the BIRT from Eclipse. If select in one option, that will download all the components that are required to generate BIRT report. That includes Eclipse platform, graphic editor framework, Eclipse modeling, and BIRT report designer. The second thing you would need is a database. MySQL is an open source database that you can download and use to connect BIRT report to. In order to connect to MySQL, you will need a Java connector. So you can download that from MySQL, and you may have to set up some fuels on your system in order to connect to MySQL. So the steps involved in creating a BIRT report. First of all, you need to start Eclipse. And started Eclipse, create a report project and open the report project in project report perspective. A project can have one or more report file. So you need to create a report file, connect to a database, create a query for results. So that's the data set, and once you have created the data set, add the data set to your report. You review the report and format or layout of the report. Once you're satisfied, save the report. I'm going to go through a demo to show you how a report is created using BIRT and Eclipse. This is a simple report which displays a logo and contact information. It also displays supplier contact information. It has the supplier ID, first name, last name, city, contact, and phone number. It's been formatted to display the header as blue color and the first row text in the first row to be white color. It also displays the time and date and time when the report was created. You can also save the report. You can pick and choose the field that you want to save on your desktop and save it as CSV file. Click OK, and that'll allow you to save the file on your desktop. You can also save file in different format if you like, in an Excel format, PDF format, PostScript, Word, and PowerPoint. Click OK, and that'll allow you to save on desktop. The third option is to print it to your printer. Okay, so let's take a look how this report was created. I have created a report with already a logo and contact information. So when you open Eclipse, a report design perspective, you will see these 4 screens. So let's go over these screens. This is a data explorer screen that consists of data source, and data set, and also any parameters that you might be using in a report. Here is this is the navigator window, which will display the report and any report that are associated with that project. This is a property editor window, which will display the properties of the element that you select in your report designer. And this is workspace, where you will be doing most of the work for laying out the design for the report. Okay, so let's take a look at now data source. This is the connection to the database. The database that's being used for this report is a MySQL, and it's a JDBC connection to MySQL. The name of the database is My Company. That's username, password. So you want to test the connection first before you move forward with your project. Once successfully connected, click OK. OK, and I created a data set. So the next step, once check your database connection, you want to create a data set. Let's take a look at the data set. This is a query, and just simple query which selects all the fields from supplier table. This place right here, you can see all the things that are associated with that database. The supplier, these are all the columns that's associated with that table. You can preview the result. Once you're satisfied with the result, click OK, and have created a data set. This data set could be dragged and dropped on your page layout, and here you have all the fields. This is the header record, and let's say I don't want to display status in our report. I right click and delete it. I don't want to display address to field. Right click, delete. And let's say I want to color my header as background color being blue. Click OK, and I want my text to be white. Click OK, and I want it to be bold, and let's say we want it left aligned. Okay, now I want to preview my report and see the results. Right here we have a report that has the logo already, that has the logo based on design, text, the contact information, the fields that we had selected, or the columns that we had selected in our data set, and in our design. And here is the date and time when it was when the report was generated. So now we have a simple report created. Let me back to our presentation. It's a demo to illustrate how you can create a simple report based on the application using open source, BIRT and Eclipse. Okay. Now, if you do want to develop a web-based BIRT application or using BIRT report tool, you do need to download Apache to act as a web server. If you do want to add charts to your report, then download BIRT engine. That's also available on the Eclipse website. You do need to have BIRT report engine in order to display the BIRT report on the web. So that's how you can find it on the Eclipse website. And if you want to integrate it with Java application, you will need the javasun.com. With that, I would like to transfer the slide to Mark.
Thank you, Vaisi. I'm going to throw a title slide, and I also have some questions that have come in, and I'll invite our audience to submit questions for our panelists by utilizing the questions pane that you should see on the various panes and panels that are available to you in the GoToWebinar view panel. So we already have some questions coming in. This one is addressed to Shaku. How do one get a strong business sponsor for implementing a BI solution? Isn't that difficult? And this comes to us from David.
Yeah, it's one of the toughest things to do. Before you talk anything about Apache and about BIRT and about anything else, you have to have money to get going, because even if you don't pay for open source software, you have to pay the people who are going to develop whatever you want to develop. So getting a sponsor, and not only a sponsor, but getting a strong sponsor who's going to also help you when the rough spots come, that you don't meet the deadlines or you have not supplied the deliverables and you need more money. And some other problems which always come up, because I always have, for any project, I use 3 maxims. One is, it always takes longer than you think. The one, it always costs more than you think. And you always get less than you think. The 3 maxims of any project. So getting a strong sponsor is one of the toughest things to do. So it's going to be the IT people who are looking for sponsors. They have to get involved in some politics. They have to understand the business. Just talking about Apache and Java is not going to get them anywhere. So you have to understand the politics of the company, not only just the politics, but what is it that makes the company tick and how you can help the company tick even better, so that you come up with some project plan which will really get attention of the people with the purse, and when you are going to have the purse string. So it is more political, it is not technical. Technology is really the means to the goal. Never ever think about any project starting with technology. You have to first see how the business is going to benefit from whatever you are going to do. And that's what the business intelligence is about. That means people, IT people have to start learning the business, what the business they are in. So if that helps, that's my answer. It's not easy.
Definitely a lot of facets to consider. We are up at the end of the hour, so I think we'll only entertain a couple of other questions, but I would like to invite anyone to email specific questions. You see Shaku's email on screen, and or you can email any of us, or also the this particular session is being recorded and will be posted at a later date, and we will alert all attendees when that posting is up.
Yeah.
So,
Mark,
yeah.
Maybe if anybody wants to have slides of anybody, why don't you send to me, Shaku, SHAKU, at atre.com, and I'll make sure you get those slides, as well as I will send you the link of the recorded session, which we'll put on our website as well as on mLogica's website. So I'll send you that link. Okay, so send it to me and I will take care of it. And Mark, if I have to send your slides, I will copy you on it. Vezi, if I have to send Vezi's slide, I will copy Vezi on it.
That sounds like a great plan. Thank you very much, Shaku. Let's take our final 2 questions. First one can be very quick, and I will field this one. How can I download the reporting tool BIRT for our dashboard, and what is the charge? BIRT, the development environment, is available completely free of charge. The open source version can be obtained at birt-exchange.com, where you will also find vibrant and lively forums, how-to videos, examples, and a marketplace of applications built with BIRT that you can use starting places for your own applications. Obviously, you can also download it directly from eclipse.org, which is the ultimate custodian of the open source BIRT product line. This question that we have, I think, can be answered in part by myself and perhaps in part by Vezi. Mark asks, what about report scheduling and distribution, like Business Objects Enterprise? So I can answer from the traditional BI or Business Object Enterprise side of things, and perhaps Vezi can entertain how one might achieve this in open source. But in short, report scheduling and distribution is one of those value-add commercial features that Actuate has provided on top of the open source BIRT foundation. So this was in reference specifically to the iServer that I mentioned during my presentation. The iServer handles all of the scheduling, versioning, archiving, deployment and distribution, security, entitlement, and all of the other types of features that would be expected in any robust BI implementation. I know in open source, this is obviously something that would need to be built actually by the programmers utilizing the zero-cost BIRT engine that Vejji talked about. And I don't know, Vejji, if you have some insight into how one might achieve that, pure open source?
It actually provides you a link to download Eclipse with BIRT integrated with it. So if you do select all in one option, as stated in one of the slides, you will get everything package. Otherwise, if you already have some other feature installed and you want to select a particular product, then you can also individually install that. But if you are a beginner, I would suggest seeing the option all in one. Eclipse, if you go to eclipse.org website, it does have support for BIRT reporting tool. And you would need a database, and again, if you're working with the open source technology, then MySQL is a good database to go with.
Thank you. And so in summary, for the question about report scheduling and distribution in open source, that is really up to the application developer to build those capabilities. But obviously you get the BIRT benefit of the BIRT design environment and an engine to deploy it at zero cost. And if you either use out-of-the-box, robust and tested, road-tested scheduling and management and security features, then the Actuate I server is automatically set up to house and deploy and secure those BIRT reports. So with that, we're about 6 minutes over, so the rest of the questions will be answered via email. And if additional questions should occur to you, please reach out direct to Shaku at atre.com. And she will funnel those questions to the appropriate analysts. And it's been a great pleasure to present to you today. Thank you for joining. And at this point, you can sign off, and we hope you have an excellent day.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.